What's going on, everyone? Kami here, and it's back. Coach Kami is back. I mean, it's been here the whole time. I just haven't been uploading the videos. Some people that send in their videos, they request not to be put on YouTube because sometimes YouTube comments can be kind of hurtful. These videos are learning experiences not only for the players submitting their Coach Kamis, but also for me. There's just learning everywhere. If you feel like talking trash about the player in the video or want to tell the rest of the world how much better you are than them, feel free to do a 180 and walk out the back exit. Nobody cares. We'll briefly go over the drafting. This is going to be of Captain Pip Sparrow on Fernando or Verrios. He is a sub to me on Twitch. Remember, if you want to submit your own Coach Kamis, just be a sub to me on Twitch or on my Patreon on the appropriate tier. And also, if you watch my stream, you get points and you can use those points to get yourself a free Coach Kami. With that set aside, let's take a look at the drafting. Their first pick, so they're going to have to pick their whole team, and the second team is going to allow them to counter pick their last pick. Right now, we've got two pretty close range damage. We have Bomb King, we have Androxus, and we have Fernando and Inara as their tanks. I think this is a good play to save your support as your last pick because the enemy team has picked their support so early on. It's very, very doubtful that they're going to be picking another heavy support like Ceres, Genos, Damba, someone like that. So the comps are final, they're decided, and we've got double tank going on each side, Barrack and Khan on the red team with the Shah and Tyra as damage and Fury as the healer. And on Pip Sparrow's team, they've got Inara and Fernando as their tanks, Damba as their healer, and BK and Androxus as their damage. I think this is fine. This is actually a good comp from both sides. The enemy team has a little bit more poke, so they might be looking to pick down mid or maybe use that long narrow way over by the side where Khan can throw people off the maps. You all know what I'm talking about. So let's take a look at what talent he's using. He's going with Scorch and he's got a lot of loadouts. I like that. Having different loadouts for different situations, whether your team or enemy comp is different, then you want to have a different loadout for it. So taking a look at this loadout, Last Stand 2, Incinerate 5, Hot Pursuit 4, Heat Transfer 3, and Unstoppable Force 1. Unstoppable Force 1 is a 1-pointer, so whatever, right? Could it be a better loadout card? I mean, yeah, but it's so minute. If it's just a little flavor pick and you found some use out of Unstoppable Force, not that big of a deal. Last Stand, I do not mind it in a loadout. 2, I think, is the max, because it's never going to save you from being blown up if they're getting explosions around your shield. And it's more of a way to back off and heal up on your own to get your healer to get fully healed up. Hot Pursuit is one of my favorite loadout cards of Fernando. You zoom, you zoom, you zoom, and allows you to chase down enemies to finish off kills. Now this loadout, as the title claims, does not have any brand or CC reduction in the loadout, but what it does have is massive amounts of mobility with Hot Pursuit at 4. And Heat Transfer, reducing the cooldown of your charge every 1,000 damage taken, allows him to charge through or get back and retreat when he's being fired at with the shield up. This loadout is good. I wouldn't really change anything about it. Hot Pursuit at 4, you go zoom zoom, and Heat Transfer 3, I play at it with a 2 and don't know how much that extra point is going to matter. We'll find out, I guess. One thing he could do is take Heat Transfer down to a 2, and then with Unstoppable Force, bump that up to a 2, and completely replace the loadout card with something like increased movement speed when you charge to get even more mobility. Now stacking it with Hot Pursuit isn't going to allow you to get the full value out of it because of diminishing returns. And by the way, if anybody doesn't know what diminishing returns means, it means when you stack on multiple percentages of the same type of attribute, whether it be movement speed, cauterize, damage reduction, doesn't matter. Once you get past 30%, you're going to see diminishing returns. If you'd like to calculate your own diminishing returns when you're trying to figure out what your loadout's going to be for a certain champion, Hi-Rez was nice enough to give us the info with diminishing returns, and someone was also nice enough to create a calculator to figure out what the diminishing returns would be for a certain value. If you want to check it out all on your own, feel free to click on the link in the description below. It's the one that says calculator. Looks like he's going to be going with Cauterize. I think that is a solid choice since you do not have brand. Now he's taking a check at the talents and the loadout cards of the enemy team. That's always a good idea to do when you're at the beginning of a game, just to see if there's anything that's like, oh, I shouldn't do this because they have this, or I can do this because they don't have this. Smart move by Captain Pip Sparrow. Now he's going to be running into battle. Keep in mind, there's not going to be any sound. The sound is very quiet. I might try to crank it up in video editing, but sometimes that can cause a lot of issues. Really good fireball at the beginning. And here's something to note about what's happening right here. If you notice, he's sitting really far back and he's letting his team flank around. A tank might have a single mindset to rush into the point and just say, look at me, I'm on the point, I'm stopping them from capturing it. And yes, they've captured 15% all by themselves, and you would say it's for free, but if you look down at the bottom right, you'll see that we've gotten a kill. What he's doing is he's distracting the team to say, look at me, I'm putting pressure here, not too much, but enough to say, look at me, and his team is flanking up around. And now that his team has pushed through and gotten a kill, this is when he's going to probably push in through the enemy team to kind of create a little sandwich. Don't know what kind of sandwich, but some kind of sandwich. I was keeping himself around the corner. Always good. Able to shoulder peek, pop on a little bit of a dot from his flame lance, and fireball people in the face. Tanks don't always have to charge in. Inara is a little bit better at it anyway because she's much more tankier, and Fernando's better to be aggressive and get into the back line. He popped back for some heals, said thanks, what a gentleman and a scholar, and now he's looking to push up, almost a double fireball. Something you want to be looking to do as a scorching Fernando is look for those double fireball opportunities. He sees someone running out to the right, so he's going back a little bit, but he notices that he should be fine and he wants to hold this front. Now, wasting that charge to get back up at the front might have spelled death, but he's able to get out. And there's something he did, and I'd like to rewind it real quick, and that's called moonwalking. This is a bit of an advanced tech for Fernando, but the idea is that you can charge backwards while keeping your shield up in front of you. This allows you to keep the shield up and you don't get shot in the butt while you're charging away for that 1 second that you're vulnerable. The way you do it is as you're backing up, you'll jump, you will snap to the location that you'd want to charge, hit the charge button, and immediately snap back to where you want the shield to be. So in this instance, when he's trying to back up, he's gonna want to do a 180, charge, then do a 180 back to its original location to make sure that the shield is still blocking behind him as he's charging. Definitely something you want to get pretty damn good at when you're playing Fernando. Let's take a look at it. There it is. See that shot that came in and hit the shield would have hit him. He would have been down to like 900 HP. His shield is really low. He drops it and actually gets the charge damage in. That's one way to kind of throw the Shaolin off. He knew the shield wasn't going to last another shot, and that worked out really well. One thing I would note though during this fight is he might have been able to survive if he would have instead peeked around this corner or even hid. He kind of goes back behind it for a second, but then he peeks back out. If he just would have hid and waited for the Shaolin's planted to go off, he might have been able to actually get the kill. Looking to zone out the mid. You don't want to stack up tanks too much, and he realized that and immediately looked over to the left. Took a little bit of fire damage, but he just wanted to get through and put some poke on the people at the cart. But going through with tanks grouped up just makes it too easy to realize, oh, I can flank on one side or the other, or I could just blow up these two tanks and push through on it. Shaolin just ulted. He's probably a little bit afraid, but he's staying within the gourd. That's good. Good charge damage. And trying to find the Shaolin, but he's invisible. Ooh, and the Shaolin gets behind him. Now again, you don't really have sound to hear this, but just rewinding really quickly, you'll notice that the damage indicator shows that it's from behind him, right here. And it's actually pretty cool. Now, I haven't really noticed this, but notice how he takes damage right here, and it's literally pointing at where the damage came from. Then he'll do a 180, and the damage will show that it's coming in from behind him. So actually, the damage indicators have gotten a lot better with Paladins. Make sure to pay attention to those damage indicators. If he would have, yes, there's people pushing here, but there's, oh god, that BK is flying. There's nobody here, so he could have stayed around this corner right here and hid from the Sha Rin, but Sha Rin got him from behind. Respawning, going back. Now, he doesn't want to go and stagger himself. That Androxus is going to die. There he goes. That's a big stagger. I've said stagger before, and I'd like to point out what stagger is. Up in the top left, you notice how there's the countdown. Now Inara is up. Everyone is up except for the Androxus. He is staggered by 7 seconds, which means his team, Captain Sparrow's team, can't go in right now. They can, but they would be much better off if they had the full team up. And I like how he set up a little ambush here, and he's looking to poke over on the left side. Whoop! Barely missed that beam. Now you might be asking why he didn't fireball the Furia, since the Furia was kind of alone. He didn't want to push because there's a whole team there would have been shooting at him. He realized he needed to fall back, and in a split-second decision, he said, do I want to fireball one person, or do I want to try to fireball like 3-4 people? I think 4 people is probably better. One thing that I think Sparrow does very well is always looking to find those double fireball opportunities. And using these walls. Like, a lot of people just charge forward. They say, I have a shield, I've got fire, I'll be fine. And you're not fine all the time. Right now, your healer is back there trying to keep you up, but the rest of your team is just kind of getting dropped like a sack of potatoes. Good job falling back here. Dama going in for an ult, but still getting dropped. It would have been an okay time to ult there, because your Inara is coming back right now. There she is. But I think it's fine to hold on to it if you want to save it for the next point. And you still have a possibility of getting this. Oh my god, 1 life. A little bit sketchy not putting up your shield there, trying to get back in there, but the point's going to go their way anyway. 2-0, you're down 2, you're feeling bad. What do you not do right now? You don't gripe in chat. You don't tell people that they suck. You don't say, GG, I'm going to go make a sandwich. I don't know what it is with me and sandwiches today, but I think I need to make myself one. This is what you do. You bring up the morale and you skateboard around on your shield. Get it, girl. Get it. All right, so now we're switching it up and we're going to the right side. kind of hanging back a little bit. Notice that it's completely open and knows they're probably on the left side or the mid. He got a good double fireball there. And you can see over here on the right side that his team is pushing. His team is pushing in the back line. So this is the time that you also want to put pressure on the front. Don't rush in. Don't be like, oh, my team's rushing in, I'll push in. People underestimate the ability to just be seen and how much pressure that puts on that person. If he peeks around the corner and this Shaolin and this Barrack and whoever the hell this person is says, oh, that's a person, they'll need to look at it. And that gives your team in the back line more time to do work. Being aware of what your team is doing and playing around it is one thing that I think Captain does very well, and it's something that people can probably look to improve in their gameplay. Still staying safe. Looks like some of the team came back and are just going straight in. Big fireball. I don't know how that hit through the shield, but good stuff. And notice how he's aiming up a little bit. It looks like he's trying to get the shield, or he's trying to fireball over the shield. And I think that's something you can do. I don't know, it might be really hard, might be like pixel perfect when you're on even ground, but if you're on any sort of elevated plateau or elevated ground compared to the con, always try to shoot it above it. So it just kind of skims the top, gives them a little haircut, and you get the damage behind the shield. So right now, what he is doing and what the rest of the team is doing and what you should be thinking about doing is zoning. What is zoning? Zoning is telling the team no. You're cutting off an area. Well, what areas can you go in this map? Well, you can go over there where the Androxus is. You can essentially go, if you were the opponent's side, you'd say you go left side, right? Or you go down mid, or you go right side. It's as simple as that. Now the question is, what area and how far do you want to cut it off? Well, he's cut it off with this wall. Not he's standing in the middle of the wall and he says you may not pass. No, he's using cover. He's using this corner. He could, which he probably will, back off behind the arches and make sure that he has also that wall to cover. He also has visibility, better visibility for people rushing in through mid, and if he sees a tank sneak through, he can turn around and help whoever's on the point, capturing it, which I assume is Maldamba. Although this Tyra is completely oblivious and he does fall back there. Anara holding the mid. Again, great job of the tank splitting up and covering out zones and not stacking up into one area. Some damage going on. Again, you're just trying to let your payload push through. You don't want to go through and go, I want to kill everybody. That's not your goal. Your goal is to, rest in peace, BK. Your goal is to allow your payload to push as far as possible without dying. Big fireball. Again, always look for those triple, quad, 5, 2, whatever it is. This would be an okay time to ult, although the Damba did just drop. But dashing out to where that Damba was at, I think would have been an okay time to ult. Would have allowed you to push past this first choke, and this first choke is that right in front of there, you know, it goes through those two middle passages, those two walls. Once you get past there, it becomes a little bit easier. But there, it's just it's a mess, man. This BK might stagger himself. That's bad. And there's nothing you can do as a player if you're not that BK to do anything about that. Drox is pulling the Shaolin behind. That's really good. Okay, I'd like to point this one out. Notice how he shot at the Shaolin. He's shooting at the Shaolin here, right? And again, you guys can't hear it. I can hear a little bit of it. He hears the Anara ult, and he looks over there, and he goes, holy crap, that's a lot of people. But that Shaolin's really low too. So instead of shooting at the Shaolin, what he does here is he throws a fireball there, gets a massive amount of speed boost because he hits so many for his Scorch to, not Scorch, but the heat one, you know what I mean? The movement speed, gets the movement speed, able to poke back out the Shaolin, just flame lands him down, and then fall back and get some more poke damage on the front. Going for the moonwalk. There was an example of a moonwalk that was done a little bit in a panic and caused him to kind of go sideways. Say I was going sideways, so he's kind of protecting himself. It's better than just turning around and charging, but he's still a little bit susceptible to a shot coming out over here. The angle not really there, but sometimes you never know. Pushing back up, trying to block the Damba, really good job. And now they're just trying to regroup, waiting for their team to come back, healing up. And what's really good about this is when you're waiting for your team to respawn, a lot of people are like, fall back. And it's like, no, don't just fall back into spawn. If the enemy team is being aggressive, you want to fall back enough to where they can't kill you, but not too far to where you're just losing ground. You don't want to give them space for free. In theory, the best way to come across this is to keep falling back until they kind of let off and then hold that ground, or keep falling back until your teammates come alive. And once they meet up with you, if everyone notices it, then they can just turn around and push. And usually the enemy team being that aggressive, there's going to be someone that's a little bit farther out than others, and you just jump on them. Then you just go through and go for it. This Khan, for example, team is met up. Khan incredibly out of position, really far up. Ooh, but the BK has died. And Inara coming around for a little bit of a flank on that Khan. Good damage on him. Let's see if they can actually pull off that kill on the Khan. No, Khan's pretty much a full life. Not going to happen. Aldama going for a fear, looking to push on it. Can't really get anything, so he's just taking out the turrets, and now he's going to be blocked off by the fire. Nothing he can do against that. He could have maybe ulted for the Inara, but we're at a 30-second marker here. And you usually want to have your ult up for the point fight. If you want to use your ult, a really easy guideline to go by, is it before the 1 minute mark? If so, feel free to go for it, because there's a good chance you'll be able to build up the majority of your ult by the next fight. Healing up with the gourd, waiting for the fire to go away, and here we go. The other note to think about is how much room they have to go. So let's just think about what just happened right there. That Khan ulted the Inara off the map. His team was down 1. They have so much distance to go. There's 9 seconds in the round. When you see this happen, your first thought should be, that's awesome. Like, they're down a Khan ult for the next fight. He can't just sit over here on the left side and just wait for someone to peek around the corner and auto aim, grab him, and throw him off the map. That's amazing. But that's something you don't want to do as the Khan, and that's something you don't want to do as a player, is ult that late when there's no reason to. For the enemy team, no reason to, because we're not close enough, or they're not close enough. Then there's no reason for the pushing team to ult, because you're just so far. Again, the same reason. If you do ult and you do wipe them, you're gonna have to go through like 2 or 3 more encounters if they properly respawn and group up. Just not worth it. Everything's gotta go right. So Inara's gonna get dropped here. And it looks like this is just going to be slowly dying, and you know, whatever. He's just trying to fight for his life, gather up as many credits as he can. And he made it happen, Captain. He's got Caudal Race 3, incredibly good. As for the next item, let's take a look. He looks like he's going to go Nimble, but looking at the enemy team, we've got Haven, 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 Haven. It's a lot of Haven. I would consider, oh, actually he went Rejuvenate, never mind. That's legit. I think Rejuvenate and Haven are both good. Nimble is okay, right? But it doesn't stack as well as you want. Level 1 version of Nimble is not that big of a deal, because he's going 40% movement speed off of a fireball. 10%, you maybe get like 8, maybe 8% of that. So you definitely don't lose a lot of it. But I think with Haven or Rejuvenate is going to be your #1 thing. Running back into the battle, which way does he decide to go? Middle? Does he decide to go the right side? The middle early fireball seemed to work out well. Well, there he went for it. Look at all that movement speed, so good. Another good fireball on the right side. Good poke done by the Fernando. Now he's making a decision which way he's gonna go. Little note, I like this. Notice how he shoots a fireball and he shoots it to where it kind of angles and it goes right above this corner. The reason he did that was he knew that the Tyro probably wasn't gonna peek out because there's a lot of his teammates there, and he was looking to just barely nip her in her hair or whatever, the hitbox, to be able to get a little bit more damage to help out that Androxus who's taking damage. Androxus might get dropped here. Nope, ends up getting the kill on the Tyrus, so the Androxus should be safe unless he pushes forward. And they've done a really good collapse around. The thing they need to be nervous about is that Shaolin over there on the right side. Good damage. Notice how he's kind of feathering out this lance. And I'm sure maybe some people notice it, but we'll go ahead and just replay it here real quick. If you just hold it down, you lose a lot of your movement speed and you lose a lot of your mobility. So what he's doing is he's just kind of jumping around, using wall jumps, just in general, trying to make it harder for the Shaolin to hit him. And he's just taking advantage of keeping the movement speed up on his Fernando, while he's also still kind of feathering out his damage and keeping the dot up on them at the very least. Inara is incredibly low. He could look for an ult, but no, Damba comes out with a heal and his really good shield from the Nando. And Troxus is coming in, punching people. He's crazy. He's a crazy puncher. Here comes an Inara ult. I was going to suggest a Fernando ult, but once you see those other ults, stacking too many ults together is bad. Oh, did you guys see that? See how he angled it upwards and he was able to hit someone behind that shield since he didn't shoot it directly into the shield and it didn't get sucked up, so that's really good. Dama getting incredibly low. See, right now, you'd probably, as a Fernando, this is so hard. This is so hard to do in mid-combat. But when you have an ult with Fernando, your best way to use it is to save your teammates, especially your healer. If your healer can get out alive, then he can heal everything up and everything's good. Now, in this middle of combat, he's like, okay, he looked behind him, he saw the Inara a little bit low, and he's like, I think I'm good. And this Damba is taking tons of damage. He could have turned around and looked for the ult of the Damba, because if that Damba would have died, and they were able to push in a little bit quicker, that might have been the loss of the point, and that might have been the end of the game for them. But it worked out all right. Ended up going with Rejuvenate 2 and Nimble 1. Probably would have considered maybe Haven, but I dig the Nimble. He's being a little bit aggressive, and he's looking to just poke a bunch. Good job backing off there. He didn't push in through the right side. That would have stacked up the tanks, and that would have meant tons more poke damage, and Maldama was able to heal him up a lot faster. Now he's looking for a different route. You always want to be looking for different routes, but also not overextending and getting yourself melted. See this poking? It's making Tyra not look at his enemy or the rest of his team, and looking at the Fernando, and he's also doing poke damage to him, and it's allowing the teammates to push in with less opposition. It's just legit. Hitting that gore, boy. Ooh, got the movement speed with Furia. Definitely want to push in here. And now it's just time to keep them from pushing you guys back while you try to get through that first choke. That's what he's doing. Definitely want to regress on this Barrack. Barrack is really low. And he's doing that. Good. Barrack is down. Androx is up there helping out with an ult. Needs to be careful though. That Androx is super duper aggressive. I approve. Oh, Captain's just melting people. Ooh, okay. So here, this might seem like a bad play. A lot of times you see a Fernando ult to just save himself. You're like, ooh, that was a bad ult. In this situation though, the Androx is dead, yes, but the rest of your team is like full HP. You know you're not going to be able to get out. They have Burn Monster. Jonathan just killed 2 people. This would be a time to ult. Even if you didn't know Jonathan killed 2 people, you know that the Androx is traded with a Furia. They're down a healer. They're going to have a really hard time poking. They're just going to have to keep popping back into spawn to heal up for the next like 7 seconds or something like that. 6 seconds, I take that back. So ulting right here would have been an okay choice. I would have preferred it. Maybe not the best choice in the world. I guess the best choice would not be set up to where you get firebomb, but who the hell would have anticipated that, right? Ulting here to save yourself, I think would have been a good play. He immediately picks up Nimble 2, just so we can get out of that firebomb faster. Now coming back, his Maldama's a little bit low. Oh, that Maldama's super low. You might want to pop up a shield as soon. Okay, yeah. Block from the Maldama to make sure no one can push through. You never know. There might be someone that has a killing intention to just go through and be like, I want to kill that Damba. Maldama ult came out on top of the Inara ult a little bit too much. I don't know, that's just a little bit overambitious trying to get that point. Might have been better to play it a little bit more safe and save it for the next round. Pip Sparrow does point that out, that they blew 3 ults, but they got the point, and now it's last point, but they have the enemy team has a good ult advantage. He knows that Shaolin was low, so he's going for a charge, maybe to see the damage pop up just in case. Didn't get it and went back to kill the Barrack. Now he didn't ult there, he didn't sit back there. That Barrack was so low that he knew that his team was probably going to be able to figure that out. And by figure that out, I mean kill the Barrack. This is where he's going to want to be looking for an ult. This would be an okay time to ult. The Maldamba is low. You just want to save the rest of your team to make sure that they can heal up. If he can get back up there to the BK and save him, he can't. Now be aware of that Maldamba. The Maldamba, you always want to try to protect your healer, especially when you have your ult up. Good shield. A little bit of body blocks and a little bit of just keeping that shield on the Damba to allow him to heal up. Really good awareness there from the Fernando. Preemptive fireball, I like it. Not hitting anything though. Good opportunity for a big fireball. Oh, it got like blocked by the con, but it also hit people before. And again, you've got you sitting over here in mid, and Inara is nowhere near you, I don't think. Nope. So you guys were split, and Inara was kind of back protecting the Maldamba. But just good zoning, good lineups on the fireballs, good item choices, maybe the Haven over Nimble, but the Nimble worked out for you really well, and it also served as an additional useful tool to get out of the firebomb for Burn Monster. So I could definitely see that. And the loadout was good. The only tip I would give is maybe use your ult a little bit more loosely. Look to save your teammates. It's really hard to know exactly when to use your ult with Fernando, because if you can see like something coming in and about to hit someone in the face, like a dragon ult or something, you can time that, and then once the dragon ult hits the target and they're ulted from the Fernando ult, you're like, yes, I felt the immediate effect of this Fernando ult. Whereas sometimes you see someone kind of low and you ult for them, but they get out for free, like they didn't take any damage. You're like, well, that was kind of wasted, I think. But you don't know. You don't know what could have happened in the next split second. That target could have just been blown up and your ult would have saved them. So when you're looking, a lot of times when you were protecting a retake and then your damage or your healer was getting a little low, find that healer if you can really quickly, see if they're taking more damage. If they are and they don't look like they're going to be able to hide behind something, just ult for them immediately. But overall, great gameplay. I want to thank Captain Pip Sparrow for sending in this footage for me. Really good Fernando gameplay. That's all I got to say. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm not gonna be one of those people who asks you to like and subscribe, so I'm not gonna ask.